Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? God bless you all. Um, so, continuing with Babylon, um, and I'll probably have another video after this about Babylon. But this is just again to gain some insight on Daughter Babylon and Mystery Babylon. This is for people who want to know where America is in the Bible. Um, Many people don't think America's in the Bible. Many people think it's just centered around Israel. Um, and it is because Israel is symbolic of God's people, but a good chunk of God's people reside right here in America. So America would be in prophecy. It'd have to be. There's just no way around that. Um, but it's in there. You have to look and you have to do your homework to find it. So that's the purpose of this video. It's just to kind of, excuse me, it's just to kind of point you in the direction of what exactly is Mystery Babylon and Daughter Babylon. In the next video, I'll probably get into um, the city Babylon and also the new kingdom. All right, the beast that the woman rides, and a lot of people have so many theories on what this beast really is, and it's quite simple. If you look at the symbolism behind the heads, the crowns, and all those different things, and that's I was gonna get into this, but this just got awful long, so um, we'll save that for another day. Hopefully, if we're here another day. Prayerfully. I say hopefully, but um, it's kind of funny. I had a battalion commander that he banned the word hopefully. Well, hopefully we can get this objective cleared, and no, he didn't want to hear hopefully. So anyway, I've tried to substitute that with prayerfully. So anyway, sit back and enjoy the video, and we'll get started. Um, Babylon. There's always been a Babylon. We've talked about that before. It's the satanic system. It's the satanic system on this earth that causes the confusion among the masses, and it's everything wrapped up into how Satan wants to control this world. We talked about the medical. We talked about education. We talked about the food. We've talked about all these different things, and they're all intertwined. It's like a giant octopus, all intertwined with all these lies and all these things that are trying to destroy the seed of the woman. People that are looking for Christ, people that recognize Christ as the Messiah. Now, real quick, I want you to think about something. Is Now we know a new kingdom is going to rise. Okay, will it be a kingdom of Babylon or will it be a kingdom of Rome? It's something I've thought about all day today, and there's certain things that point to me as Rome, and there's certain things that point to me as it's Babylon. But I would say it's more than likely Rome, and I'll say that because it's already God is destroying Babylon right now by these videos, by these people sounding off with what's really going on. I saw a video today of Queen Elizabeth being a reptile. I mean, these things are coming out. Their system is breaking down. So they're going to have to revert back to a Roman type system. Also, if you look at the feet and the clay and the iron mixed together, iron, of course, was symbolic of Rome. And you also have the if you look at the book of Acts, it was during the time of the Romans rule, not the time of the Babylonian rule. And it was also, a lot of messengers have said we're going to be going through Acts again, almost like a souped up version or a steroidal, book of Acts is what we're going to be going through. The miracles, the hiding, the chasing of Christians. That's what's going to be the new type of system, the new Rome. So just something to think about. And I'm going to get into that in the next video, but I don't believe it's going to be a Babylonian system. Babylon is going to be destroyed. Babylon is the secrets that caused this. I think everything when it goes to this is going to be out in the open. There's going to be no secrets. And I'll give you an example I had in a dream. If you look at my Mark of the Beast dream, the one with I'll show you. It's the one with the guy on it real quick. Let me just show you real quick. YouTube here. It's the all right. It's going to be. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Keep going here. It's one of my first videos, first dreams I ever had, and it scared the daylights out of me when I had it. Um, but I had this dream of the mark of the beast, and essentially, when I was at the end of the dream, I'm not seeing it here. I was at the end of the dream, and um, the guy goes, "Well, don't worry about it, because tomorrow, when you get the mark of the beast, you will be a force to be reckoned with." And I was a military guy in the video, and gosh, I'm not seeing it here. I was a military guy in the video. Here it is, right here. It's the dream of the coming mark. Um, I was a military guy, and at the end of the dream, he was like, "Don't worry, when you get the mark." And there was nothing. There was no hiding it. They weren't hiding it at all. So anyway, that's what I feel. The Babylon, the confusion, the secrets behind everything's going to be exposed. It's going to be done. They're going to have to revert to a Roman type rule at that point. So it's just something to think about. Is it going to be New Rome or New Babylon? I think it's going to be New Rome. Fusion by mixing. And we know we talked about the mixing, the DNA, the iron, and the clay. While the men slept. Okay, all these things happened while the men slept. Okay. Now, this is when the fall of Solomon began to happen, when he started being with strange women. They turned his heart away from to other gods instead of Elohim, and he went after the strange flesh. It's the mixing, the, the daughters and the daughters and sons of God. Okay, let's get started. Here we go. All right, there's a daughter Babylon, there's a mystery Babylon, and there's a city Babylon, and we also know about the Tower of Babel and all those other ones. But these are the ones I'm going to focus on. All right, especially these two right now. This one I'll get into later, and I'll continue to talk about Mystery Babylon in the next video about the beast, essentially, is what I'm going to be discussing. Daniel, we find out very specific information. The Bible has a unique way of defining itself. I've said that several times. Prayer, work, due diligence, you can unlock several mysteries and discover what exactly Babylon is. Jeremiah 29, verse 1 through 14, paints a good picture of the Lord's instructions, which I can hear him saying today. I can hear him saying these same things today if he were to speak. And he is speaking, but what if he were to come down here and speak like this? But he's talking to the people that go into captive Babylon. Okay, remember the symbolism: Israel, Lord's people; Babylon, the satanic system. Does it sound like we, as the Lord's people, also have been taken captive by the satanic system? Of course we have. We are all captives here. These verses paint a unique flavor of family living, simple family living, not getting involved in what's happening around the world, not getting involved in with what is satanic or the Babylonian system. Okay, so just let's look at some of these. And the Lord said, Lord of hosts said to the God of Israel, all unto that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away. In other words, this is my plan, from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses, dwell in them, plant gardens, and eat the fruit. Take wives, get sons and daughters, take wives for your sons, and give daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that they be increased and not diminished. Okay? Very simple instructions God's telling them to do. Our stay in this world is temporary, but if we do have to live here. Okay, it's a balance of living here and surviving, and not being engulfed into the actual ungod system, the satanic system, the worldly system. Focus on the eternal rather than what's temporary. Okay, focus on eternal blessings, eternal things, rather than what is just here for the here and now. The fleshly lust of this world war against your very soul. The Bible says this. Okay, I believe it's in Romans. Okay, these things constantly are pulling at you. You're going through this anguish constantly. Be able to walk from anything in this world. Picture a sports fanatic with a painted face and the beer in his hand, and he's shouting for his team, and they're on the goal line. and his score is tied and it's the championship. Could he walk away from that? He should be able to walk away from that. Okay? He should be able to walk away from it and not engulf so much. I love football. I actually love on the weekends. I used to get up early. I'd go run or go bike, come back, and I would lay on the couch after I did all my work and watch football. Okay, that's not healthy. That's not what you should be doing. Okay, you should be able to walk away from anything at any given time, no matter what it is. A new car, a new home. You shouldn't be so engulfed in anything that you cannot walk away from it. Okay? Um, and Jeremiah continues, all right, then they shall call upon me, okay, and you shall go and pray unto me, and I will listen to you. And you shall seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. And that's a lot of us, I think, that are considered, the bride of Christ. That's what we did. We called out to him. We saw something that wasn't right, and we looked with all our heart for something different. And I will be found of you, says the Lord, and I will turn away your captivity. Exactly what he did. He turned away our captivity. And I will gather you from all the nations, from all the places where I have driven you, says the Lord. And I will bring you again to the place where I have caused you to be carried away from. Okay? The Lord reassures them, okay, and gives them that this placement, this captivity is very temporary, and the Lord holds the timing in his hand. When Daniel saw the 70 years drawing to a close, he was concerned because he saw no evidence that the captivity was ending. Gabriel answered Daniel's prayer about this and assured him that all would be brought about in due time, according to the Lord's word. And we got to be, we have to hold on to those promises. There's promises in the Bible that give us wonderful, wonderful hope. And those are the things that we have to dwell on. We have to dwell on the promises of God that this is temporary. This isn't real. We are here as a training ground. We are here to find the Lord. We are here to prove to him and that we love him, that by sanctification, works by faith, by all these things. Of course we believe. The believing is the beginning. Okay? The believing is the beginning. And then it's about how you want to change yourself to be a part of his family. History affirms that the fall of Babylon was quick, sudden, it was overnight. Okay? We'll get into that later. It's going to be the same way. Our departure out of here will be the same way. Sudden, quick. I'm sure most of you have had rapture dreams, or some of you have. It's very, very fast, sudden, and you think, wow, it's really here. So our time here, do not dwell on the captivity, dwell on the eternal. Through all our life's hardships, there's only absolutely one secure place we can place our hope and future. God assured the exiles of Jeremiah's day that he loved them. Even in their bleakest hour, God was there, influencing the events towards their proper conclusion. He is still there today. His plans for your future, our future, fill us with hope. Okay, you have to have hope. It's hard, I know. Okay, many, many times I've lost hope. Okay, but he will come and he will break you out of the prison. There are false people that provide false hope. Okay, let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you. Neither hearken to your dreams, which may cause to be dreamed. You have to pray over these things, okay? I've had several dreams, probably about 40 or 50 dreams. You have to pray over them, all right? And then I just kind of put them in the back of my mind sometimes and wait and see what the Lord does. They will falsely prophesy unto you in his name. I have not sent them. Remember, if it goes against the word of God, then it's not true, okay? It's gotta coincide somehow with the law. With his word. Something the people really wanted to believe. They really wanted to get out of there. And the false prophets were telling them that they would be going home soon, that it would not take 70 years. They were insisting that the captivity would be over soon, and there would probably be many ears that were happy to hear the news, but it wasn't true. Here's a story for you. So I was studying the blood moon tetrads. I had just gotten saved, probably a year, and I was studying constantly, learning, growing. And I was studying the blood moon tetrad, the 2014-15 tetrad. And I thought we were going home in the middle of them. I thought for sure. we would be gone. And I heard a messenger who's been around for a long time, and I haven't actually seen her in a while. Servant of God 346. But anyway, she said something about the church will be here for all four blood moons, and I was really disappointed, and I just kind of lost a little hope, kind of got angry. Um, but the Lord teaches us patience. He's very patient with us, long suffering. And we need to follow suit with those things. We need to follow suit with the patience and the long suffering He has. It's not about us. It's not about you as an individual. You're already saved. You already see this. Okay? It's about saving the lost and bringing them in to what we know. Okay? It's about the big picture. All right? It's not about the little picture. Okay? Instead, find your purpose and then do what He wants you to do. Do what you were called to do. You have a job. He will give you a job. We need to watch for Him, be in tune with Him, look at the signs, look at the things around us, what's going on, I call it keeping my finger on the pulse of the world, looking about what's going on, what's happening, what are the signs in the heavens saying? But at the same time, I don't revert to those. I stay very neutral, okay? I try to stay very neutral. Everyone comes out with these dates, asteroid hitting tomorrow, the 23rd of September, all these different things. I'm like, okay. That's okay. I'm looking. But I remember God told me after this a long time ago, He goes, when I come, it's going to be totally chaos. People will not know what day or hour it is on the earth because it's going to be total chaos. So anyway, just something to think about. Remember the definition for Babylon. That just a definition I came up with. Cryptic and hidden world, meaning religion, education, politics, medical, many other worldly facets. His system that His kingdom uses to communicate, execute His spiritual plans of darkness in the physical realm. Plans of darkness, I think, because it's going to be out in the open, it'll be a Roman type thing, okay, instead of the Babylonian type thing. Daughter Babylon, Mystery Babylon. We will not touch on City Babylon right now. It just got too far, okay? Are we taken captive? Are we captive in this world? Let's look at this for a second. I bet many secular, non-believing people would say that we are indeed captive in this world. And I think of the group Anonymous, and I think of all the conspiracy theorists. And it's sad because they see what's going on, but they don't see what's going on. They don't see it in a spiritual light. They see it in a worldly light. And it's really sad. I got a friend that's like that. He knows something's going on, but he can't put it to the Bible. And it's because he won't go to God. You got to go to God. Jesus gives you the eyes to see. All right. And I'm sure Jesus is preparing him because soon he will see when people disappear, when things start to happen, that this was indeed a biblical plan from the very beginning of time. And that's what's going to be the big cry at midnight. Okay. What have I typed here? Let's see. There are many lukewarm Christians who would say that we have been taken captive. But there is no way, zero, zilch, nada, no way that we have not been taken captive. We are captive in this world. We are in Satan prison. We are almost unable to move. And at which time in history was everything good? Okay, when was everything pretty good in America? Think about that for a second. Okay, when you turn on the news, you hear such junk. But what time could our kids freely walk to school, get proper medical care, a decent education, a good job? When was this place not so evil and not so captive? We were very captive. 1970s, 1960s. Well, it was June 17th, 1963, in the case of Abington versus Shemp. The Supreme Court removed the Bible from the school system. Our downward spiral began right there. Next on the chopping block was prayer in schools, then parental rights, then the very name Jesus. Like the determined lumberjack, Satan chopped and chipped away the foundation. Remember our cornerstone. The cornerstone the builders rejected. Yes, we rejected the foundation. That Bible in the school system, in our world, in our daily life, is the foundation. And that's what chipped away at everything. When you remove that, then you have indeed lost your footing to grow as a nation. Yes, it's going to take time. How many years has it been since 1963? All right, it's going to take 50-something years. It's going to take time, but it's going to happen. And God is very patient for you to come back to this. He's very patient and watches to see what you will do. Will the nation go back to me? Okay. Sometimes he sends a wake-up call. 9/11 would have been a perfect wake-up call for us to come back to God. But instead, what did we say? No, we remember, we rebuild, we come back stronger. We did this all on our own. No. God has been watching and been doing what he's going to do the whole time. The reason we haven't been judged so harshly is because of our support for Israel. We have a praying remnant in this nation that intercedes. We have missionaries that spread the word to others in many different countries. So this is why, okay, God judges two things, nations and individuals. All right, and this nation is going to be judged. It's going to be judged very harshly. And we've had several wake-up calls to get back to God, to come back to Jesus Christ, and come back to the cornerstone and refinish and redo our foundation. But that's not going to happen. We've been delaying a lot because of this. All right, I think judgment could have come a long time ago, but because we have this here, God has hearkened to our voices and our prayers. So let's look at America. Benjamin Spock said we shouldn't spank our children when they misbehave because the little personalities would be warped and we might damage their self-esteem. Incidentally, his son committed suicide, by the way. And he said an expert should know what he's talking about. So he said, okay, we won't spank anymore. We won't exploit them. We will exploit them. We'll put them in beauty pageants and put it on TV. We'll make fun of the kids that are overweight and put them on TV. Make fun of the children and their families that are poor and we'll put them on TV. This is just, I can't tell you how disgusting. You see the little boy with his mom dancing and all this stuff. It's just absolutely horrific. Then someone said teachers and principals better not discipline our children when they misbehave. And the school administrators bowed under pressure. And other school community parents said no faculty member in the school better touch a student when they misbehave because we don't want any bad publicity. We surely don't want to be sued. All those different things. All right. And we accepted this reasoning. Now, some might say, well, there's bad people that would take advantage of this. You're right. Absolutely. It's because we've gone away from that. If you go away from that, then everything starts to crumble. All right, on both sides. Abortion. Daughters can have abortions without telling parents. Condoms given away at school. We've become a godless society. The foundation's gone. This is an excerpt I did from a study a while back. And since then, since 2012 when I did this, we can now add national approval for same-sex marriage, gender-free bathrooms, statues of Satan in different cities, after-school clubs that offer Satan worship, post-partial birth abortions. It's just gone downhill from there. Ever since we took this out, it went downhill and it's gone. The foundation, the cornerstone that the builders, the masons rejected, it is gone. We'd rather have this. We'd rather have our freedom. Woe unto them that call the evil good and the good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, sweet for bitter, bitter for sweet. Woe to them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. This is our government right here. 2 Timothy 3:1. In the last days, I wish people would wake up. In the last days, perilous times shall come. Lovers of their own selves. How many selfies, can we possibly take? Covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents. Not only that, but how many children live with their parents? I am so surprised. I'm a police officer now. When I go to homes and I see 22, 24, 25, 30-year-olds living with their parents, living in a little room with their parents. It's just disgusting, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. How many fights do we see getting videotaped on Facebook and getting posted to Facebook? And instead of helping the kid that's getting beat, they're filming it and laughing. Oh man, look at that. Did you see that hit? I mean, we are without natural affection. Truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent fierce, despisers of those that are good. Yeah, that's a good one right there. Despisers of those that are good. We have become godless, no morals, no principles. What we did, we wanted. What we felt was good, we did. But with freedom comes responsibility and honor to the one who gives us the freedom. And that's Jesus Christ, and we're not doing that. Instead of going back to our foundation, the cornerstone, Jesus Christ, instead of doing that, we did this. Give us a king. Give us a king who will support what we want. Give us a king who will allow the things that we want to have happen. So instead of taking on responsibility, morals, laws, and statutes of God, going into the prayer closet, we wanted a king, a president, who would cater to our lust, cater to our desires, not make us feel so accountable to what we were doing. Gradually, this king would lull us into a trance of what was once good is now bad. And that was once bad is now good. Over time, this trance, along with the enemy's seed that's been planted in facets of his system, we've become numb and carefree. How many people out there have waffled on gay rights? Initially, many were against it, even using the word gay as like a derogatory remark. You're so gay. Now, I don't embrace this. I don't. But what has happened is we've allowed this to waffle our rights. We've allowed this king, we've allowed this system to play on our emotions. Now people are just like, well, if it doesn't bother me, I don't care what they do. I just stay away from me. I don't care what y'all do. Y'all go over there and do what you want. I don't care. That's the wrong attitude, because we're supposed to call out the works of darkness. We're supposed to expose them. Okay? But since this king has lulled us into this trance, and we're almost like swimming against the current, we've just waffled. We're like, okay, well, whatever they're going to do, they're going to do. Nothing I can do about it. Okay. Well, then you're going along with it. That's called lukewarm. And God said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons do not walk on. Okay, I'm sorry, this is not God speaking, but this is Samuel getting told this. Behold, thou art old, and thy sons do not walk in thy ways. He had bad sons, by the way, that weren't of God. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. They wanted a king to lead them. And it displeased Samuel. Give us a king to judge us. We don't want God judging us. And the Lord said to Samuel, I'm sure the Lord was just like, probably very fed up, probably very tired, very weary. I can picture him. And he said, listen to the voice of the people. And all that they say, do. They have rejected me, but they have not, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should reign over them. That's a very sad statement for God to say. God's saying to Samuel, his chosen man, he's saying essentially, they don't listen to me. Whatever they want, go ahead and give them. That's exactly where we were, right here. Obama. Okay. I'm not saying the other presidents were good. They're not. They're not. But this was the pushing point. This was the over the top point. This is what took us over the edge, right here. And that's what he did. Listen to the people. 4 more years. We want change. That's what we got. That's what we wanted. Yes, we can. 4 more years, all those things. That's exactly what happened. If you're not calling out against it, then you're with it. Period. I'm not saying you need to post anti-gay agenda on your Facebook every single day. But what's your church doing? What are you saying to the church leaders? Is your church recognizing this? Are they for it or against it? Are they marrying them? Are you there while they're getting married? Are you clapping while they're getting married? Okay, daughter Babylon. So in the book of Daniel, we see God's servant, Daniel. And Daniel is part of the group that's been exiled. Okay, but he has found favor with King Nebuchadnezzar, who is the king of Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar has placed him in his court as a wise man because of the dreams he can interpret. Now, that's if you don't know the backstory. But so the king has a dream, and he sends out, for all his court to interpret the dream. Not only interpret the dream, but to tell him what he dreamt, which is kind of neat. So to kind of, I guess, raise the stakes, I want you to tell me what I dreamt, and then I want you to tell me the meaning of what I dreamt last night. That's kind of what he's saying. So the only one that does this is of course, Daniel, and Daniel is like, it ain't me, it's the Lord, But I can interpret your dream and tell you, exactly what you dreamt because I've prayed about it and God told me. And so Nebuchadnezzar's pretty intrigued, and what he dreamt was a statue, and in this dream, the statue shows all the kingdoms of the world. All right, starting with the greatest king, or the greatest kingdom of Babylon, which is the head of gold, and there's other body parts that are, follow suit, that are symbolized by, less valuable metals. So you have the legs of iron and the chest of silver, and all these different valuable, different irons, and or different metals, and represented by different kingdoms. And as the dream continues, the statue is destroyed by a stone cut without hands that strikes the statue's feet. And the feet were made of iron and clay. We talked about the iron and clay. And this becomes a great mountain that fills the whole earth, this stone. So what exactly is he seeing? So the mountain, I believe, is symbolic for the kingdom and the nation of Jesus Christ. Okay? The kingdoms of old, the satanic influence will end and a new kingdom will be birthed. You have to have sorrow and tribulation for a new birthing of a kingdom. And just like we saw with the Adam and Eve study, if you haven't watched that, Cain and Abel were born as twins. One was of the seed of the woman, one was of the seed of the serpent. And both of those kingdoms came forward, but just like twins, they didn't come forward at the same exact time. The kingdom of evil, or Cain, was birthed first. Then God's kingdom was birthed, or Abel, if you will. But that's just something to kind of think about, when we're talking about the kingdoms and the nations of the earth. So we know Satan's going to have a kingdom that's going to rise up. That's the beast in Revelation. And God, of course, is going to have a kingdom as well. And that will be birthed shortly after the evil kingdom has been birthed, essentially. Okay. And this kind of story right here, stone cut without hands, being thrown at this statue of the iron and clay mixed together, coincides with this story right here in John 8:2. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman who has been committing adultery that they had in their midst. And they caught her in the very act. This woman has been taking adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such a woman should be stoned. But what say you? And they were tempting him that they might have to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down with his finger and he wrote something in the ground. Something I've always wondered what he wrote in the ground. But anyway, he wrote something in the ground, and as though he heard them not, so he's kind of just like drawing in the ground. And he said, "He that is without sin among you, cast the first stone." So it's very interesting that we have an asteroid at this time. This is September 25th. There's been talk of an asteroid hitting and destroying New York City. And it's kind of funny that we have a stone that's going to be thrown at the earth, kind of destroying part of America. Who is without sin? Well, Jesus Christ is without sin, and he is going to cast the first stone. But since grace, the law of grace was coming, okay, when he would die on the cross, what does he tell her? Go and sin no more. All right. In other words, you're under grace, but don't continue to do what you're doing. Repent and turn away from sin. You're forgiven for what you've done. That's why I'm here. Okay. Um, and he gave her the space to not do it again. But according to the law, she should be stoned, and that's what's going to be coming is the law. There will be no longer grace and mercy. The Father and Jesus Christ are long-suffering and give us space to repent. And when the Bible left us in schools, it was not an automatic chastisement. All right, we weren't destroyed that next day. There have been many wake-up calls since, prominent being 9/11. But what was the result? All right, it was more pride, more arrogance, more faith in ourselves, more self-indulgence. We have prayer. People have called out to the Lord, but mostly our pride has rose up to disgusting levels. Okay, and that gets back to the we remember, we rebuild, we come back stronger, which was written on the beam of the One World Freedom Tower. Had we repented instead of wanting to go to war with every Islamic country in the map, things would have turned out differently. This was all by design, to go to war with them, to incite unrest. That's where we're at right now, to incite unrest with Islam, and that's where we're at. It was all done by design. I'll be the first to admit my pride was horrible. It stunk. It was rancid. Satan is very crafty in tricking our minds, all right, when we constantly need to be on guard in prayer. I was in the military when this happened. I was a very prideful person, and I was ready to go to war. I didn't even think of God. I didn't even come to God for anything on this. And it just, my pride was very bad during this point. And so I just want to, just let you know that we're not perfect. It takes God to open our eyes and to see. In the verse above, we see that Jesus, who was without sin, has the authority to cast the first stone. Right? But he gives the woman grace. And he further states to her, go and sin no more, which we talked about. Our country is that harlot. Okay? We've been under grace to turn away from sin, to walk away. But what do? We keep going back and fornicating. We keep going back and doing the things that are against God. We keep going back and looking to our pride and thinking our pride's more important. We've traded our relationship with Jesus Christ, our bridegroom, for the pleasures of the world, to do what we want by not sounding the alarm to what is wrong. We want change. We want 4 more years. In the Bible, the women are symbolic usually of churches. Our country was founded, not necessarily on the founding fathers, all right, but we were a founded nation of Christians and built this country on biblical principles. But as the whoring wife, we left those laws and statutes for what we felt was good. Consider the stone being cast to earth. When grace and mercy are over, this harlot has to get stoned. Right? She will get stoned at that point. There are several examples of falling rocks in the Bible. In just Revelation 6, there's one about the 100 talent stones, and there's the great millstone, and of course Daniel talks about the stone cut without hands. That first stone is the foundation. It goes right back to where we should have been. And then Daniel, talking with King Nebuchadnezzar, says this, O king, art the king of kings, for even God in heaven hath given you a kingdom of power, of strength, and of glory. Power, strength, and glory. What country does that sound like? Power, strength, and glory. In the book Braddock, The Age of British Supremacy by John Musak, he states, in the company of Schuyler and Colonel Nicholson, they returned to America in a ship called the Dragon, interesting, and arrived in Boston in 1711. They had seen evidences of an amazing strength, power, and glory of Great Britain, which made a deep and abiding impression upon the ambassadors of their countrymen, and they avowed their readiness to aid the conquest of Canada. Very interesting passage. So who is America in the Bible? To get a good understanding of where America is in Bible prophecy, you need to have an understanding of Daniel 7. The chapter is very cryptic and deep, and in many ways it is here that we gain understanding of just who the key players are in the last days. We are going to see 4 kingdoms, and of the 4 kingdoms we have 4 kings. But for today, for these purposes, we're just going to focus on the lion and a little bit of the bear. Daniel 7:3. It first was like a lion, it had eagle's wings. I beheld the wings thereof, and they were plucked. and it was lifted from the earth and made to stand on the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. The lion was an ancient mascot for the kingdom of Babylon. Okay, just like the Bible states, it had a set of eagle's wings on it. And this is the Babylonian lion. Some other examples here. What does the Bible say about a man's heart? A man's heart, every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was evil continually. God saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every imagination, of the thoughts of his heart was evil continually. From within, out of the heart of men proceed evil thoughts, adulteries, fornicators, murders. The heart is deceitful above all things, desperately wicked. Who can know it? The nation had left God. God has to make the changes in you. Is it impossible for you to do it on your own? The enemy's way too powerful. That's why many people cannot forego their addictions. You have to follow the Lord and his laws and statutes. It's a process. It's not done quickly. All right? It's a process. This nation left the laws and principles of God. So the Lord turned it over to their own hearts and their own lusts. Standing like a man. What nation today has a lion for a mascot? Great Britain has a lion for a mascot, and it stands like a man. There's a lot here, by the way. If you ever want to go further into this, look at, I believe it's called, hold on a second. It's called The Beast and the Cup of Tea, about England and the beast. You have different things. Of course, you have the lion that's standing up, and this is the beast that's chained, that comes out of the earth. Right? You have the thistles right here from Genesis. There's so much here. You have 666 and these lions. There's a bunch of things that are depicted in this coat that I won't get into, but that's just a couple highlights if that interests you. And this is Great Britain's lion. For argument's sake, let's say that England was not the greatest nation in the world. There have been much more powerful nations than England or the British Empire. Think of that word for a second. It reminds me of Star Wars. All right, let's look at some facts. The British Empire. Empire on which the sun never sets, was described to use at its peak of its power. Even the powerful Roman Empire was nothing compared to the empire that England had. This is a list of the greatest kingdoms in the world, according to Wikipedia. Land area, world area, all right here. And if you want to know where Roman is, it's clear at the bottom. The Roman Empire compared to the British Empire. There's some I've never even heard of. I mean, what's that say about the schools I went to? But the Mongol Empire, Russian Empire, Spanish, all those ones. The Eagle's wings that were plucked, where did they go? It's no surprise America was born out of England. Like we've discussed in previous videos, we know that there is a birthing process for kingdoms. America was also birthed through much pain and sorrow coming from her mother, Babylon. Without going too deep into another study, we gain a clue about America as the daughter Babylon. Further in Daniel 7, if we read Daniel 7:5, we see a bear with 3 ribs in its mouth. What is the significance of a rib? Well, if we go back to Genesis 2:21, Eve was created out of Adam using a rib. So in this case, we can assume that the ribs are a small part of something larger or something that already exists. The bear is Russia. It's the Medes. Okay, the ribs are Canada, America, and Mexico. All those countries come from countries already in existence, France, England, and Spain, respectively. Great Britain is even called the United Kingdom. Is this a play on the words for the NWO? Jeremiah 50:12, your mother shall be sore confounded that she bare you, and shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, a desert. What does hindermost of the nations? The last, the end, the future, also prosperity. the last one. The hindermost of all the nations is America. Yes, there's been other nations that have been formed, but none of them with the great power and might as our nation. Notice how the definition also includes remnant and residue. Remnant and residue. This goes back to coming out of our mother, England, the last of all the nations. Come and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. There is no throne. I believe this is the constitution and government will crumble, will dissolve. There will be no government here. Sit silent and get in the darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Think of the Statue of Liberty when you see that. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, and thou hast said, none see me. Your wisdom and knowledge have perverted thee, and thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. We're the most prideful nation in the world. The most prideful nation in the world, period. America's always been known for high quality products. We have the best in everything. People lived well. If we look back at our deterioration as we discussed since the removal of God, everything, and I mean everything, has been diminished. But our wisdom and knowledge has increased. How can this be? We've become so advanced, but our health care has declined. Our education is failing. Our children, our military readiness is at its worst. Yet our technology is supreme. So what gives? Our leaders have sold out to the beast system. They've sold us out, and there's no beating around the bush. They want you dead. That's it. They want us dead. And they're using technology and wisdom from an ancient evil to help them do this. Those they cannot kill will become walking zombies without a care in the world to look up, and they will be easily controlled and manipulated when disaster strikes. They will make the masses numb and void. Families will cease to exist, and it's working at an alarming rate. In short, the wisdom and knowledge we have is not used for the sake of the betterment of humanity. It's made for the sake of killing humanity. And if it doesn't kill them, it's going to numb them and make them stupid, essentially. You ever watch Mark Dice? Watch Mark Dice. And I don't necessarily like Mark Dice, but what he does find is pretty crazy. He goes around and just asks random people stupid questions. Who won the Civil War? Who's president? Who's the Secretary of State right now? I mean, it's ridiculous. And you will find out just how out of touch and numb people are. And they'll simply look for other sources for help other than God. Come get your microchip and have a nice day. To them, everything will be back to normal, back to shuffling with their feet and looking down. Satan wants a few people here, but under his absolute control, because more than anything, he desires worship. And he has to have people here to worship him. But those that are going to cause a problem, those that are going to make videos like this, he wants them dead. He wants them gone. Make no mistake. Kill, steal, and destroy is why he's here. That's it. Steal, kill, and destroy. This right here is very important. I almost want to read it again, but this is what's happening. Our technology is not doing us any good. No good whatsoever. Have you seen on Facebook, I'm sure some of you on Facebook, how all these cures now are coming out for cancer? Cannabis oil twice a day will cure your cancer. Dandelion roots cure your cancer. But yet we're on chemotherapy and blood replacement or blood thinner, all these different things. And it's all these meds do are killing our people. I'm going to tell you a quick story. Like I said, I'm a cop, all right? And I went to a house the other night, and it was an older couple that were fighting. They were 65, 70 years old. Kind of well-to-do, I think. But the wife, he had her on speakerphone. She was in like another room. So like he had turned the phone on, and we came to the door, and he's like, listen to her. So I looked at the phone, and she's just crying. Just crying. And he was drunk. He's an alcoholic. And he's like, I don't know what to do anymore. And so finally she comes out, and she's got Parkinson's disease. So we were going to take her to the hospital. and try to resolve the fight that way. All right. And she had all her pills, and they were in a tote, like 3 shoe boxes full of meds that she's on. And all I could think about was just look at this poison that she's putting in her body every day. And she looked horrible, like absolutely horrible. Shaking, red eyes, crying. Um, you know, it was ridiculous. And of course, he can't handle it, so he turns to alcohol. And I felt so worthless. I guess I felt like I just couldn't do anything. You know, I could sit here and witness to them. You know, I just felt like I just felt really hopeless. Like there was just nothing I could do. And so I just was kind as I could be. You know, got her some water, got her some Kleenex, and sat with her, talked to her about her dog. You know, and all this whole time I just thought, we're a country that that has satellites, that has things that go in outer space, that have cars, that has this, that has computers that can do this, that can do this. And all I kept thinking was, and here's this woman on poison every single day of her life. And it really hit me hard. I looked up at heaven and I almost just was angry at God, you know, and it bothered me. And so I ended up just saying, I'm going to pray for you, and left it at that. But it's this is what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. Is they're putting us on this stuff to kill us, and it's not doing us any good. Not doing anybody any good. And think about your child that's on medications for being hyper and whatnot. I mean, that was never the thing when we were children. People my age in their 40s were children. It was just not the norm. You went outside and rode your bike. So we're being killed, and that's why he's here. And this right here, this microchip is that's going to be their be all end all. Take it or die. You know. Um, but anyway, I digress. I'll continue. It's just sad. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now thy astrologers and stargazers, the monthly prostitutors, stand up and save thee from these things. We're in the occult, and that's what I believe the Lord is saying here is you're a cult that's told you all these things. What are they going to do for you? But here, John F. Kennedy was a prime mover in America to get out in outer space. So we've emerged with that technology to go outside to expand everything. When you look at these parameters, our industrial power, our aviation, our technology, our space program, all these things, and we can't save the little old lady that's got Parkinson's, but we can do all this stuff. Something's just not right. Something's not adding up. But it's interesting how God mocks them and telling them to call upon their people for help in these times, because that's where they have put in their hope. Um, we dwell upon many waters, abundant in treasure. We have the best trading that you can possibly imagine. You can buy anything right now from your desktop computer and have it here in 5 days at the most, and it'll be here. If you want to order, anything, then you can have it delivered to your home. And whereas in Africa, you can't even get a bottle of water hardly, without going through such anguish. I remember in Iraq and stuff, if I wanted to go get something, you had to order it online, you had to have it shipped over, blah, 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 and it was a pain in the butt. Even if you wanted a simple garden hose or something in Iraq, it was still such a process. I remember one time I was walking around San Francisco and I saw a dinosaur skeleton for sale. It was like $30,000 or $40,000, I think, but it was a dinosaur skeleton for sale in the window. And here we are in Africa, and you can't even get a bottle of water without going, through such pain. And this is the pain that God's going to bring back to America for falling away. Okay, these things are going to go. The word for treasure, right here, is awasar, which means depository or storehouses. We have all the factories, storehouses, warehouses you could imagine. I read this, and this really hit the mark for me. One of the key parameters laid down in the Old Testament prophets is the implication, at least, that the latter-day Babylon would be a born-again Christian nation with the heritage of God. Paradoxically, it's also portrayed as a nation with a split personality that claims both Jesus Christ and Lucifer at the same time. These two claims are emerging. That is so that's just perfect right here. Both these claims are merging, coming together as we speak. How? Mainstream Christianity has become apostate. American Christianity is becoming non-existent. It's no longer Christianity. It's America Apostate Church. And that's why you have these two that are coming together. They're mixing, all right? Confusion. The paradox can easily be resolved when you understand that occult forces have always been at work in darkness and secret, while Christian aspects are always plainly visible. In other words, America portrays itself visibly as Christian, but behind the scenes, the Illuminists and the Masonic forces laboring to bring America into their dominion. America is a picture-perfect example of the struggle between good and evil, between Jesus and Satan. And right now, Satan is winning because we have abandoned the true gospel of Christ. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. We know we're the lost sheep. Shepherds are the church, the pastors, have caused them to go astray because they're not preaching the true gospel. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. Well, Jesus Christ is their resting place because we put all our faith and trust in him. He gives us the rest. What does this mean, from mountain to hill? I'll show you exactly what it means. Our church leaders no longer preach the complete Word of God. They have given over to the lust of their hearts for fame, money, a large congregation, tax breaks. They have sacrificed their sheep for personal gain. What does this mean to go from mountain to a hill? I think one possibility is that this is the tip of the mountain. The tip of the mountain is a triangular in shape, and we know that God punished Israel for worshiping idols and strange gods in high places, which included mountain and hills. I also find it interesting that the tip of the mountain has several names: summit, peak, and yet another name, pyramidal peak, pyramid. We have seen that before. Glacial horn. It also has another name, glacial horn. Pyramid, horn. Then the Bible says something about a little horn. The pyramidal peak, sometimes in its most extreme form, glacial horn. Mountain peak, which results in erosion due to glaciers. So you have this mountain, but he's saying we've gone to a hill. Take this mountain and cut the tip of the peak off, and you have a little triangle hill. Could this be the little horn that Daniel saw rise to power, speaking blasphemy? The occult has long worshipped their gods on mountains, and the pyramid is nothing but a substitute mountain. And at the peak of the pyramid is where the pagan gods sit, the capstone. So, just like in right here. Could that be the little horn with the great eyes speaking blasphemous things? Something I'm looking into, okay? But it's definitely top of the mountain. Here's the mountain, and we've given it over to a hill. So anyway, something very interesting. America will be destroyed just like her distant relative. After Daniel had grown older and Nebuchadnezzar had taken rule, Nebuchadnezzar, that's a typo. Nebuchadnezzar's son had taken over rule at Babylon. He had a large party, okay? Just going to kind of paraphrase this real quick. They had a large party. In this party, they had all the women, all the head people, the government officials, the concubines, everybody was drinking, partying, and not really caring about anything. And then they took out the vessels of Jerusalem that the father had, not the father, but that his father Nebuchadnezzar had kept in safekeeping or whatever. And they removed the vessels and they began to drink from them. And as they're partying and being stupid, a finger appears out of nowhere and a message is written on the wall. And it's in the Bible. It's I'm not going to paraphrase really because I'm not going to be able to do it justice, but it translates to, "Your kingdom is numbered, you've been weighed, and you are found wanting. Your kingdom is now turned over to the Medes and the Persians." And that's Russians in Iran in modern day lingo. Hearing this, the king loosed his loins, okay, and essentially he went and got Daniel. And Daniel was older at this point, kind of like in retirement, I guess. And the queen was like, "You can interpret what this says." And he's like, basically, "Yeah, you're done. God is done with you." Um, and he lost his consonants change, and his loins were loosed, and his knees knocked together. So he was scared. Okay, and that kingdom was destroyed. Now, some say that they had a moat around Babylon and that the enemy came and drained it and that they just basically walked right in while they were partying. They walked right in, took over, killed the king, set up a new kingdom that night. It's kind of interesting that this verse is here about America. "Therefore, her plague shall come in one day, death, mourning, and famine. And she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her." One day. Happened here overnight, one day. "I will stir the Medes against them. They shall not regard silver or gold. They will not delight in it." In other words, there's nothing you can do to pay these guys off. They're going to come in here and wipe the earth clean here in America. "They will dash the young men to pieces. They will have no pity on the fruit of the womb, just children. Their eyes shall not spare children." In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to be hellfire from heaven. Babylon was overthrown that night. The Bible is very accurate in the fact that also current Babylon will follow suit. "For in 1 hour she will be overthrown." According to some historians, the Medes and the Persians accomplished this because the party was carrying on. They drained the moat, which I told you, around Babylon, and they walked right into the party. Does this sound like America to you? Are we busy partying, not caring, not doing anything that we should be doing? Does this sound like our border security? Have we allowed people just to walk right in? They're already here. They're just waiting for the event. Another key word that the Lord uses in Revelation in regarding to this is the flood. Flood of refugees, flood of refugees. Paris flooded, flood, flood. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, after the church. Now this is a different context here, so don't get too crazy for me here. So the serpent cast out of his mouth a flood to go after the woman, that she might be carried away by the flood. And the earth held the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood as the dragon cast out of his mouth. I believe this is an earthquake right here, helping the Revelation 12 woman, church, escape some of these things. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So God will save his remnant. God will protect his remnant. Now, for future reading on this, you can go into all kinds of reading, but I just highlighted some verses. Daniel 5, Isaiah 13, Jeremiah 50, 51 is a very good one. These all right here. America, okay? All right, I'm going to close it right here. I'm going to do Mystery Babylon in another video because I'm already over an hour. I'm sure everybody's bored. But anyway, God bless you all. I hope you learned something. If not, look at these verses. Continue to search on your own. And God bless you all. See you soon.